Some crimes make headlines, but some crimes stop the world. Millions of people watching the same case unfold in real time, debating every detail, questioning every move, waiting for one moment, the verdict. But what happens when the evidence doesn't make sense? When the stories keep changing? When the truth feels just out of reach? Tonight, you're about to see 3 crimes that didn't just shock a city, they shocked the entire world. Cases where the trials became global events, where the verdicts divided millions, and where, even now, people still argue about what really happened. Because sometimes, the most disturbing part of a crime isn't the crime itself. It's the fact that we may never fully understand it. On the night of June 12, 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman were found brutally murdered outside Nicole's home in Brentwood, Los Angeles. Both victims had suffered multiple stab wounds in what investigators described as a violent and personal attack. Almost immediately, suspicion turned toward Nicole's ex-husband, former NFL superstar O.J. Simpson, due to their history of domestic violence and reports of a turbulent relationship. The next day, police asked Simpson to turn himself in for questioning. Instead, what followed became one of the most surreal moments in television history. On June 17, 1994, Simpson was spotted riding in a white Ford Bronco, driven by his friend Al Cowlings. As police pursued at low speed across Los Angeles freeways, helicopters captured every moment live. Nearly 95 million people watched the chase unfold, transforming the case from a local homicide investigation into a global spectacle. Simpson eventually surrendered and was formally charged with 2 counts of murder. His trial began in January 1995 and quickly became known as the trial of the century. The courtroom turned into a battleground between a high-powered defense team, often called the Dream Team, and prosecutors determined to prove Simpson's guilt through forensic evidence. The prosecution's case relied heavily on DNA evidence, including blood found at the crime scene, in Simpson's vehicle, and at his home. At the time, DNA evidence was still relatively new to the public, and prosecutors believed it would be decisive. However, the defense took a different approach. They argued that evidence had been mishandled or even planted, raising doubts about the integrity of the investigation. A key figure in this argument was Detective Mark Fuhrman, whose credibility was damaged during the trial after recordings revealed racist language, fueling claims of bias. One of the most infamous moments came when Simpson was asked to try on a pair of gloves believed to have been worn by the killer. In front of the jury, the gloves appeared too small. Defense attorney Johnny Cochran delivered a line that would echo worldwide. "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." That moment planted reasonable doubt in the minds of many. After nearly 9 months of testimony, the jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. On October 3, 1995, the verdict was announced, not guilty on both counts. The reaction was immediate and deeply divided. Some celebrated the decision as justice served, while others saw it as a failure of the legal system. Although acquitted in criminal court, Simpson was later found liable in a civil trial in 1997 and ordered to pay millions in damages to the victims' families. The case didn't just captivate audiences, it reshaped how the world viewed celebrity, race, media influence, and the power of doubt in the courtroom. Even decades later, the question still lingers for many: what really happened that night? In the early morning hours of December 26, 1996, what should have been a quiet day after Christmas in Boulder, Colorado turned into one of the most disturbing mysteries in modern true crime. Patsy Ramsey awoke and discovered a handwritten ransom note on the staircase of the family's home. The note claimed that her 6-year-old daughter, JonBenet, had been kidnapped and demanded $118,000 for her safe return, a strangely specific amount that matched John Ramsey's recent work bonus. The message was long, detailed, and unusually theatrical, warning the family not to contact authorities. Despite the warning, police were called almost immediately. Officers arrived at the home expecting a kidnapping, Friends and family members soon gathered inside, unintentionally contaminating what would later become a critical crime scene. Hours passed with no contact from the supposed kidnappers. Then everything changed. Around midday, John Ramsey was asked to search the house again. He went to the basement, and there, in a small, dimly lit room, he found JonBenet's body. She had been bound, her mouth covered with duct tape, and showed signs of both blunt force trauma and strangulation. The case instantly shifted from a kidnapping to a homicide. From the beginning, the investigation was filled with confusion and controversy. There were no clear signs of forced entry. The ransom note had been written using materials from inside the home, and the length and tone of the note didn't match typical kidnapping cases. Very quickly, suspicion turned inward. Investigators began to focus on the Ramsey family themselves. The theory was simple but chilling. If no one had broken in, then someone inside the house may have been responsible. The media exploded with speculation. JonBenet's pageant photos were broadcast worldwide, adding another layer of controversy. The family's behavior was analyzed endlessly, every interview, every word, every emotion scrutinized. Some believed the parents were hiding something. Others argued they were being unfairly targeted while grieving. Years passed and the case only grew more complex. DNA evidence found on JonBenet's clothing did not conclusively match any family member, introducing the possibility of an unknown intruder. Yet that evidence was also debated. Was it significant or simply contamination? In 1999, a grand jury was convened to review the evidence. While they voted to indict the parents on charges related to child endangerment, the district attorney chose not to move forward with prosecution, citing insufficient evidence for a conviction. Over time, multiple theories emerged. An intruder, a cover-up, an accident that spiraled out of control, but none were ever proven beyond doubt. Decades later, the case remains officially unsolved. No arrests, no definitive answers, no closure. And that's what makes the JonBenét Ramsey case so haunting, because it wasn't just the crime itself that shocked the world. It was the possibility that the truth might have been there from the very beginning, hidden somewhere inside that house. On the night of May 3rd, 2007, in the quiet resort town of Praia da Luz, Portugal, a family vacation turned into one of the most widely followed missing person cases in modern history. 3-year-old Madeleine McCann was staying with her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, in a holiday apartment. That evening, the couple left Madeleine and her younger twin siblings asleep inside while they dined with friends at a nearby restaurant, just a short walk away. Throughout the night, the adults took turns checking on the children. At around 10 p.m, Kate McCann returned to the apartment. The door was open. The room felt wrong. And Madeleine was gone. There were no signs of a struggle, no immediate clues, just an empty bed and a window that appeared to have been tampered with. Within minutes, the alarm was raised. Resort staff, guests, and local residents began searching the area. Police were called, and what started as a desperate local search quickly escalated into an international investigation. News spread fast. Within days, Madeleine's face was everywhere. Television, newspapers, airports, billboards. The case drew global attention unlike almost any before it. Governments became involved, millions followed every update. It wasn't just a missing child case anymore, it was a worldwide effort. Early theories focused on abduction. Had someone been watching the apartment? Was this a targeted kidnapping or a crime of opportunity? But as the investigation progressed, controversy began to build. Portuguese authorities faced criticism for how the case was handled. Communication between agencies became strained, evidence collection was questioned, and then, months later, the case took a shocking turn. Kate and Jerry McCann themselves were named arguidos, formal suspects under Portuguese law. The world reacted instantly. How could grieving parents suddenly become suspects? Investigators suggested that Madeleine may have died accidentally in the apartment and that her parents staged a cover-up. The theory sparked intense debate, with media outlets dissecting every detail of the family's behavior. But the case didn't stop there. In 2008, the McCanns were officially cleared of suspicion, and their arguido status was lifted. The investigation shifted back toward the possibility of an unknown abductor. Years passed. Leads came and went. Sightings were reported across different countries, none confirmed. Then, in 2020, German authorities announced a major development. A convicted criminal named Christian Bruckner was identified as a prime suspect. He had been in the area at the time of Madeleine's disappearance and had a history of serious offences. For many, it felt like the closest the case had come to answers. But even now, no charges have been finalised that bring full closure. No confirmed timeline explains exactly what happened. No definitive evidence has revealed Madeleine's fate. And that's what continues to grip the world, because unlike a trial, unlike a verdict, this story never reached an ending. It simply stopped, leaving behind one question that still hasn't been answered. What happened in those few minutes when no one was watching?